It was another weekend full of goals, red cards, and to be honest with you, not too many surprising results. There was a lot of teams just getting the job done, but in today's video, we're going to go through and have a deeper dive into all 12 of the League 2 Game Week 33 matches. If you do want to enjoy, make sure to like, comment and subscribe. 80 likes as always would be massively appreciated. Let's get straight into it. We'll kick things off then with Accrington 1, Doncaster Rovers 2. A very big 3 points for Doncaster, where they are in the table, having played a game more than a lot of teams around them. When they keep picking up the 3 points, it is the most important thing. And the second goal that Doncaster scored, goodness me, that's just the type of luck that you get, don't you, when you're in a promotion challenge, and Accrington just couldn't quite get anything out of the game. The scoring was opened by Harry Clifton on 2 minutes. Some nice play from Jordan Gibson on the left-hand side, and Harry Clifton was unmarked inside the penalty area to finish into the back of the net. Accrington would equalise just before the hour mark from a corner. It was floated in to the back post, and is this, how do you pronounce this guy's name? Is it Connolly? Let me know down below. He had a brilliant finish, to be fair, from what, about 12-14 yards out inside the penalty area into the back of the net, but the levelness wouldn't last for very long, as the second goal, I think it's Harry Clifton, puts a cross into the box and it takes a weird deflection off of an Accrington player and just trickles under the goalkeeper into the back of the net. But Doncaster did receive yet another red card, as I believe it's Patrick Kelly was sent off in the 89th minute. Now, I've had a look at the highlights package that obviously does get put together after the end of every game, and there's a player or two kind of blocking the challenge, so I can't see specifically where he's made contact, but from the intent you can certainly see why the referee might have deemed that to be a red card. So maybe concerning news here says that Luke Molyneux came off with injury in that game, so obviously not ideal for Donny. Hopefully for their sake that's not a long-term problem. As a Bradford City fan, let's hope he's out for the season, with all due respect, you know what I mean? We've got to win these football matches at the end of the day. But Doncaster now up to second in the table. They are 8 points, I think, behind Walsall, but they have played a game more than every team in that top 6 as well, and 2 more than Port Vale at the moment. So they need to just keep winning football matches, keep ticking them off. Accrington, though, they are really in a relegation battle now. Yes, they've played 2 less games than Morecambe, but the gap is now only 4 points, and they've only picked up 1 point out of their last possible 15 available. Accrington fans, are you starting to get concerned a little bit? And Doncaster fans, are you starting to believe? My team Bradford City picked up a 2-0 victory at home to MK Dons. A very comfortable win, in all honesty. We completely dominated this game. We did pick up 3 separate injuries, which wasn't ideal, but Alexander's come out post-match and said that they all should be fine for Tuesday, which is very important for us. Since MK Dons sacked Graham Alexander, Bradford City have beaten him 3 times. We've scored 10 goals, I want to say. Is that correct maths? 4 plus 2 plus 2, no, that's 8. That's not very good. And we've conceded 1 in that time. Alexander's tricky chickens, we're really cooking something so far this season. I've no idea how Michael Mellon didn't get credited with the assist for the first goal, but a brace for Anthony Sarcevic, absolutely top class, a level above anything at this level. He's absolutely excellent, should be playing in League 1 at the absolute minimum. He's a brilliant player, 2 brilliant goals, the assist from Bobby Poynton for the second goal, the pressing from Michael Mellon for the first goal as well, absolutely excellent to see. And again, we've made changes going into the game because we've got injury problems, we've got suspensions, we've kept yet another clean sheet. It's 9 home wins in a row now for Bradford City. Our home form has been something that we've struggled with massively over the last couple of seasons, and I don't think anyone really complains if this game finishes 5 or 6-0, maybe 5 or 6-1, because Danilo Walsall had a chance, which was well saved by Sam Walker. But MK Dons, I think the difference between Bradford City and MK Dons, apart from obviously the league table at this moment in time, is Bradford City have a team. MK Dons just have 11 players. They weren't fighting for each other. You saw people like Alex Gilby screaming at some of the younger players playing for MK Dons when they weren't doing everything absolutely spot on. That's not what you want from your captain, is it? Scott Hogan has to be one of the biggest wastes of space I've ever seen on a football pitch. Dan Crowley is the best player in the division if you play him as a number 10. So naturally, MK Dons had him sit in front of the back 4 for the entire game. Liam Kelly, I don't think, put in a single challenge throughout the match. Lawrence looked okay as a defender, but really uncomfortable on the ball. Namane touched the ball about 3 times. When he did, looked a bit of a threat, but they just didn't get the ball out wide to him quick enough. And Danilo Walsall, I mean, Alex Gilby, I couldn't even tell you one thing that he did in the match apart from shout at all the young players. Bradford City, though, absolutely excellent. Aidan Baldwin's best performance in a Bradford City shirt. Callum Johnson really thriving as well. Alex Patterson came off with injury after 30 minutes, so fingers crossed that is nothing to worry about. Michael Mellon really starting to shine as well now with Callum Kavanagh out injured. Brandon Kaler actually got some decent minutes. He played, I think, over an hour, maybe close to 70 minutes with all the added time and looked a really tidy play. We saw Neil Byrne, Jamie Walker get some minutes as well. Tommy Lee come on against his former club. So just another case of job done for Bradford City. With all the other results, it does obviously keep us 5th in the table at the moment. But we are now back to being the best home team in the entire division. 13 wins from 17 home matches. If we can just pick up a couple of away wins between now and the end of the season, I don't see a world in which we don't finish in that top 3. But we've only won 3 from 15 away games so far this season. Only scored 14 goals away from home. We've got a tough one against Bromley on a Tuesday night, but their home form isn't the greatest. They're down in 18th despite back-to-back home wins. So I'm looking forward to that one. In terms of the actual table then, MK Dons have got absolutely no chance of finishing in the playoffs. 13 points off of them. Yes, they've got a game in hand, but when you picked up 1 point out of your last possible 15, they just play pointless possession football. Scott Lindsay, I don't think, is the right man for the job. Certainly not at this moment in time, but a brilliant win for Graham Alexander's side. And speaking of Bromley then, they got another home victory, as I just mentioned, back-to-back for them. 2-0 against Harrogate Town, and I feel like these are the type of games where they really do need to be winning if they want to be successful this season. Michael Cheek with another goal and another assist. He's just a big handful inside the penalty area. I wanted him in January to be our Andy Cook replacement, and we knew going into the season that he'd proven in his career that he can score loads of goals in the National League, but he's now doing it in the Football League as well. And it wasn't the most entertaining game for a neutral. Bromley didn't really create all too much, but they were clinical. Harrogate, again, they've had loads of chances, but just not many on target as well. They've got a plethora of different striking options, but they're all 5, 6 out of 10s at the absolute maximum. Jack Muldoon, I think, is way past it. Marsh hasn't scored more than 5 goals in a season for a very long time. Curzons is obviously just coming up from non-league and still trying to find his feet. Ollie Sanderson, very, very struggling at this level. But in terms of the league table then, Bromley now up to 10th after 3 straight wins for them. 10 points out of their last possible 12 available. They are only 7 points off the playoffs with a game in hand. We've certainly seen stranger things happen. In terms of Harrogate, I still wouldn't say they're in a relegation battle. The 7 points above the drop zone. They obviously got that big victory against Swindon. They're just kind of chipping away at it. I think there'll certainly be 2 teams worse than them come the end of the season, but it's just not really ideal for Harrogate. I think next season could be a bit of a concern for them, in my opinion, but a brilliant win for Bromley. Carlisle United played out yet another 0-0 draw, this time against John Coleman's Gillingham FC. In terms of the game then, Carlisle, they had some good chances. They created 2.2 XG, but they're just really lacking a goal scorer. They've signed all these different type of strikers based on stats and all this sort of stuff, but none of them are really any good, especially Bevan and Dennis, who they brought in, the second one from MK Dons. I don't rate either of them whatsoever. I think Scott or Hugo is probably your best chance, with obviously Wyke and Kelly out injured. They've got a lot of options at the top end of the pitch, but I mean, there's been 29 shots and not a single goal scored in this game. It's clear to see where the problems have been so far this season for both teams, but it's something for them both to build on. Gillingham are now 3 games without defeat. Carlisle back-to-back games without defeat. They're slowly chipping away at it. They've gained a point on both Morecambe and Tranmere, but they are still 5 points from safety. They've got a terrible goal difference. Gillingham, again, they're in no real trouble of a relegation battle, I wouldn't say. I think, again, similar to Harrogate, there'll definitely be 2 teams worse than them come the end of the season, so it's just about finishing strongly for them between now and the end of the campaign. But a clean sheet for both teams to build on, and there's not really much else to be said about that. Carlisle are really lacking a goal scorer though at the moment. Colchester United played out a 1-1 draw against AFC Wimbledon. I know these 2 teams are southern. Is this some type of derby maybe? Probably not. Colchester's in Essex, isn't it? And Wimbledon's in London, so probably just ignore me. But it was a very, very entertaining game. I think Colchester will feel a little bit hard done by. They've not come away from the match with the 3 points. They had loads of chances, especially in that first half, and Wimbledon scored with their only shot on goal. A really good finish, to be fair, from Marcus Brown. Another assist for Jake Reeves, but I think Colchester will be disappointed with the defending for that goal. They finally did break down that AFC Wimbledon wall in the 89th minute. A great free kick into the box. Another assist for Jack Payne, and Samson Tavidi with yet another goal. He's one of the best strikers, young strikers in this division, in my opinion, but I'm sure Wimbledon will be very disappointed with the defending from that. To concede from a set piece when you're a team who've been so solid so far this season defensively, I think they will definitely be very disappointed. I didn't get to see what Aware Edwards' first yellow card was for, but I think he can have no complaints about the second yellow card. He just takes somebody out on a counter-attack. But I think Colchester will be really, really miffed not to come away from the game with the 3 points, with some of them chances that they did have. It was kind of the only result that really went in Bradford City's favour in terms of all the teams in the top 8 at this moment in time. Wimbledon haven't, well, they've not won in the last 2 matches, but they've not been awful draws. You know, a point away to Fleetwood and a point away to Colchester. It's not the end of the world. Their home form is still very strong, but considering the high standards that they've set themselves, I'm sure these type of games where they're not dominating the matches, not scoring goals, they're not scoring a lot of goals at the moment, I think that will slowly start to frustrate them. They've only scored, is it 1 goal in the last 3, 2 goals in the last 3 matches. That is obviously not ideal, but Colchester, they maintain their unbeaten run from where they were at the start of the season, since around November time really, when they drew 1-0 with my team Bradford City when they scored in the last minute. They've gone on a really good run since then, and they now find themselves 9 points off the playoffs with a game in hand. Again, stranger things have happened, but they've drawn 16 out of 32 matches so far this season. They need to start turning a few of them into wins, and this game is a prime example of that. But not a bad point for both teams, certainly something to build on, but maybe slight concerning signs for Wimbledon that they're not really scoring many goals. Grimsby Town picked up yet another victory, especially at home, this time against Fleetwood Town. The visitors picked up quite a lot of bookings in this game, but George McEachran scores what is probably goal of the weekend in League 2. If there was a better goal, I'm sure we might come to some later on, but certainly from what I've seen so far, absolutely brilliant strike into the top corner. Then Ryan Graydon equalises in the 61st minute, and you're thinking, well, you've just got an equaliser away from home against a tough team, go and celebrate with your fans. No. Ryan Graydon, who scored 3 league goals prior to this so far this season, hasn't scored since the beginning of December, decides to cup his ears to the Fleetwood fans, give it this, shushes, gives it absolutely everything to his own fan base, the exact people who are paying his wages. Absolutely disgusting from Ryan Graydon. He should be embarrassed with himself. Them fans are allowed to criticise you. I assume that's probably what's been going on. Fleetwood fans have been criticising him because he's a striker and he's not scored for nearly 4 months. So I'm not surprised that they're criticising him. And the fact that he thinks it's acceptable to celebrate like that is criminal. If I was a Fleetwood fan, and I've seen a few of them on social media saying they never want to see him play for the club again, and I do not blame them. Absolutely disgusting from the man who is literally getting paid by them exact same supporters. If they want to criticise you, they're more than entitled to do so. We'll move on to Danny Rose when he scored in 3 minutes later. I'm sorry, but it really frustrates me when I see these professional footballers who are paid very, very well celebrate like that, shushing, cupping your ears to your own fan base. I really don't like to see it. But Danny Rose found himself on the score sheet once again, a free header inside the penalty area. I'm sure Fleet will be really disappointed by their defending, and yet another assist for Denver Hume at left back. Sure, he's got to be one of the top assisters in this division. Grimsby, they maintain their very good run of form, 4 straight wins for them, at least 5 games unbeaten now, and only 1 point off the playoffs with a game in hand. They've been very inconsistent at the start of the season. It was very much win-lose. Again, they have still only drawn 3 games so far this campaign. They have lost 13, but they're putting on a really good winning run at the moment. Going away to Bromley, getting the job done, beating Carlisle, beating Doncaster, and now Fleetwood as well. They're not keeping too many clean sheets, but they're scoring goals, and that is all that matters. Fleetwood, their kind of glimmer of hope of trying to get into the playoffs ended 4 games ago now with just 2 points picked up out of their last possible 12. They're 11 points off the playoffs. Yes, they've got a game in hand, but I certainly don't see them making it into that top 7 come the end of the season, especially when their fans probably don't very like their striker very much. It wouldn't surprise me if Ryan Graydon either now goes and wins the Golden Boot and scores 20 goals between now and the end of the season, or wouldn't score again for the rest of the campaign. It's going to go one of 2 ways. He's not just going to get 3 more goals now, is he? But a brilliant win for Grimsby. It was a day to forget for Nick Townsend and Newport County as they were drummed at home by Cheltenham Town. A brilliant away victory for Michael Flynn's side, and the scoring was opened on the half-an-hour mark as Ethan Williams crossed in from the left-hand side, and Matty Taylor just gets in them sort of positions, doesn't he? A lot of Cheltenham fans wrote him off at the start of the season, but he's recently started adding goals to his game once again, a proven EFL goal scorer. A really nice finish as well into the back of the net, and the second goal is just classic League 2 really. There's a bit of long ball, a ball gets played in behind the Newport defence. Nick Townsend, the Newport goalkeeper, comes flying out, wins his header and has a sliced clearance away, and it does fall to Ethan Williams with a really good finish into the back of the net. You know, that's not easy execution, and he does it very well 8 minutes into the second half, and then the game is wrapped up on the 82nd minute as Ethan Archer would drill a shot into the back of the net. I think again, really poor goalkeeping. And on the highlights, we don't really know why, but Courtney Baker-Richardson was then sent off for a second bookable offence. I don't really know what's gone on there, but the referee didn't seem very happy with him, and Courtney Baker-Richardson didn't really put up too many protests. He was straight down the tunnel with the Newport physio. Can we talk about him as well? He looks like a bodyguard, doesn't he? Not a physio. Anyway, brilliant win for Cheltenham in a game where, if you look at the statistics, it looked fairly even, in all honesty, but Cheltenham just more clinical on the day. Another clean sheet for them to build on as well. And Newport away is not an easy place to go whatsoever. They were on a really good run at home. You know, they were undefeated at home for quite a while, so fair play to Cheltenham. I know their away form so far this season has not particularly been amazing. You know, they were down in 16th. That's their first away win in quite a while. They've only won 3 away games all season so far, but that does now leave them 11th in the table. Just one defeat in their last 5. That is 10 points picked up out of their last possible 15 available. Again, they're only 8 points off the playoffs with 2 games in hand. Stranger things have certainly happened in football. Newport's recent good run of form has come to an end. Their unbeaten run, I think they're very clear away now from relegation. 14 points above the drop with a game in hand, but just not really an ideal result for them. Just one of them days at the office for Newport. Certainly a bad day, one to forget, but a very, very good win for Cheltenham. I think it's certainly going to be building something for next season under Michael Flynn. Notts County picked up another victory against Tranmere Rovers. It was just a case of getting the job done for Notts County, and that's what they did. I've seen a lot of debate again on social media. Is Stuart Maynard the right man for the job? Notts fans, let me know down below. What are your thoughts and opinions? It took them nearly 80 minutes to break down at Tranmere, but when they did, it was a brilliant strike from Charlie Whittaker, an assist for Mai Traore as well, and a brilliant strike into the back of the net. Will Luke McGee be disappointed with the manner of the goal? Probably. I think he gets a hand to it. It certainly looks like that from the highlights and seems to go through him a little bit. The second goal, though, is just the definition of League Two. It's a very pinball scrappy inside the penalty area. Jatta's on the floor and somehow pokes it into the back of the net. That was not English. Into the back of the net, and another assist for Traore as well. 2 for him on off the bench in the 67th minute. But Christian Dennis did make the last couple of moments in the game a little bit nervy as he would pull a goal back in the 88th minute. A really, really good header into the back of the net. I think he beat Johnson in the air for that. Alex Bass made some really good saves, especially in that first half. He made a brilliant one from Cameron Norman, but Notts have once again got the job done. It maintains their unbeaten run in terms of their home form. They're 4th in the table for that. Now they're 4th in the table in terms of the overall league table as well, but again, it's very tight at the top end of the table. 55 points to 58 points. That is 3 points separating second all the way down to 6th, but Port Vale do have a couple of games in hand in there, so it'll be interesting to see how this promotion running does go down. There's 14 games left for the majority of clubs. Some have got 13, some have got 15, but around that sort of mark, so it'll be certainly very interesting to see where every team does end up. But Notts County have once again just got the job done. They've just got that quality to get over the line. In terms of Tranmere, they haven't got the quality, and at the moment they're whimpering over the line. They're only not in that bottom 2 because of how bad Morecambe and Carlisle have been so far this season, although in the context of Morecambe's season, they've had an unbelievable campaign, and if they stay up, Derek Adams, I don't care what happens to anybody, Derek Adams is comfortably manager of the season in my opinion. But Tranmere just struggling again. No one expected them to go away to Notts County and get anything out of the game. They stayed in there, they hung in there, but they just didn't get that luck at the end of the day. Notts County fighting at the top end of the table. That second goal is the epitome of luck, and also a bit of skill as well from Alassana Jatta. But Tranmere, I am really, really concerned about them, and I still do believe they will go down. I still think Morecambe will stay up, but I don't think their season's going to be defined by losing away to Notts County, which for them, yes, the performance might not necessarily have been there, but they've got the job done. 3 points is all that matters at this stage in the season. Port Vale picked up a big 3 points at the hands of Salford City. Antoine Hackford opening the scoring just before half-time with a cute finish into the back of the net. I know a lot of Port Vale fans have criticised him so far this season, but he scored a couple of goals, to be fair, and from the handful of times that I've watched him, I think he's looked a decent player. But obviously Port Vale fans, you'll know a lot better than me. We've talked so far in this video about them teams who are in and around them promotion places getting the luck. It's pinball inside the Salford penalty area for the second goal, which Raheem Harper stabs towards goal, and the Salford keeper does get a finger onto it, but it does end up in the back of the net. Then it's some good play down the Salford right hand side, and then they are awarded a penalty after, I think it was their number 19. Do we get numbers on here? It was Minoga who was fouled after some really nice play on the right hand side, and Hakiba Doulakan converted calmly into the back of the net. What did confuse me though is Ronan Curtis's red card. I mean, he's been sent off, not on the pitch. He was actually after full time. Him and Stefan Negru came to a bit of a confrontation after full time. That was really about it. There was the odd pushing and shoving, but nothing that I think you don't see anytime there's two players coming together on a football pitch. And Ronan Curtis was sent off, unless there's something that's not been shown on the highlights. To me, it just looks like, well, just split both players up. The game's done. Let's just go back in the dressing room, or maybe you book both players after the game. But I don't really understand why Ronan Curtis was sent off and nothing happened to anybody else, because there was a lot more pushing and shoving going on with a load of other players. So that red card certainly did could confuse me, but we've seen some very, very incompetent officials over the last couple of years, months, seasons, whatever you want to call it. EFL officials are useless. Salford score with their only shot on target, 11 shots, but, well, technically 10 on shots, but none on target, apart from the penalty, which will obviously concern Cal Robinson a little bit. Port Vale, 9 shots at 5 on target. They were a little bit more convincing with the win, and that is a big 3 points for them. They've recently gone on a very good unbeaten run. Like I mentioned earlier, this promotion running is going to be very exciting. Now, Walsall have started winning again. Doncaster keeping up their consistency. Wimbledon and Port Vale on very good runs, unbeaten runs of form. Bradford and Notts County going to fight until the end. Then you've got Crewe, Grimsby, Salford, Bromley, Cheltenham, Colchester, Chesterfield, all these teams that are still in and around the playoff chase at the moment. The promotion running is certainly going to be a very entertaining one, but a brilliant win again for Port Vale, who maintain their solid home form so far this season. Salford as well, their away form had been pretty good up until lately, where, I mean, they've really struggled away from home recently, haven't they? But a brilliant 3 points for Port Vale. Swindon got back to winning ways with a 1-0 victory against Chesterfield. I feel like this kind of result is the reason why Chesterfield are not really going to make the playoffs come the end of the season. Far too inconsistent. The only goal of this game scored by Kabango Tishimanga from the penalty spot after he originally won the penalty. I'm not the biggest fan of a player who is fouled to win a penalty then taken it. I don't know if he is their penalty taker, but we have certainly seen that sometimes that can go wrong when the adrenaline of winning the penalty is a little bit too through the roof, really. But Shimanga kept his calm, kept his cool, and slotted coolly into the back of the net. Ian Holloway was sent off though after 10 minutes. I didn't actually know that it would come up on Flash Score when a manager gets sent off, but there's an altercation between Harry Smith and one of the Chesterfield players. It just seemed like one of them, bit of argy-bargy. I think a yellow card for Smith was probably the correct thing to do, but we've certainly seen him lose his temper over the last couple of seasons. But with the quality in this Chesterfield squad, I'm really surprised to see them really struggle, not only to score goals, but they really lacked creating chances. Only 0.14 XG, 1 shot on target, only 4 shots in the entire game. And like I've just said here, they've got a really, really good squad, so I'm not really too sure why it's not working for them at this moment in time. They've got a plethora of different options as well on off the bench, but I think this result probably does count Chesterfield outside of the playoff running now. They are 10 points off the playoffs. Yes, they've got 2 games in hand, but it's very much win-loss for win-loss. You look at their record, 11-9 and 11 in terms of win, draws and losses so far this season from their 31 games. Far too inconsistent. Swindon, nice to see them finally get back to winning ways after just 1 point picked up in their previous 2 matches. I don't think they'll make it into the playoffs this season, but Ian Holloway's done a brilliant job to steer them away from relegation. They could certainly be a team challenging for promotion next season. They've recently picked up their home form as well. It's at least 5 games now unbeaten at home. In terms of Chesterfield's away form though, I mean, yeah, you look at that, 1 point picked up at the last possible 15 available away from home. I don't see them making it into the top 7 this season. I feel like this, come the end of the season, we'll look back on what was probably just a mid-table clash. Crewe Alexandra finally got back to winning ways with a brilliant 3-0 victory at home to Barrow. Connor O'Riordan opening the scoring on 37 minutes. I think it was Jack Powell whipped in a low free kick and it just caused carnage inside the Barrow penalty area, and eventually, I believe the man on loan from Blackburn Rovers, I could be wrong, but eventually Mr. O'Riordan, what a very hard name to pronounce, he put it into the back of the net regardless. Tom Lowry made it 2 at 5 minutes into the second half after Niall Canavan Kung Fu kicked somebody inside the penalty area. That's something that you'd see Shawn Michaels do back in the day. And then the game was wrapped up in the 85th minute as Holly Keck would score to make it 3 with a calmly converted finish into the back of the net. In terms of Crewe then, it's been a long time, but I'm sure them 3 points are very much welcome. Yes, they've played a game or 2 more than a lot of teams around them, but with the terrible run of form that they've been on recently, to get a 3-0 victory at home against a Barrow team who had been on okayish form recently, I'm sure they'll be delighted with that as well, because obviously if they would have lost this game, then Grimsby would have definitely gone back into the top 7. In terms of Barrow, just lacking that consistency at the moment, I see them finishing mid-table come the end of the season. There's certainly a lot of teams who are not challenging for the playoffs and not going to be battling out for avoiding relegation come the end of the campaign, and I certainly see Barrow being one of them. They've got got some very good players in their squad at Barrow. I think to the likes of Ben Jackson at left wing back, Ben Whitfield as well. Presley has scored a couple goals at the division above. They've not got an awful team on paper, and I expect them to slowly start climbing up there. Tyler Smith getting some more minutes as well. Bradford City, low knee, but a brilliant win for Crewe at Alexandria. It sees them finally win a football match and remain their spot in the top 7. Walsall made it back-to-back wins for the first time in a very long time. Nearly 10 matches ago was their last back-to-back wins, but they picked up a 2-0 victory away to Morecambe in one of the early kickoffs. Reece Williams was sent off on 50 minutes after bringing down one of the Walsall attackers. I can't quite remember off the top of my head, but I don't think he can really have many complaints with the red card. It's, clear denial of an obvious goal-scoring opportunity, and I think from that resulting free kick, Taylor Allen then converts into the back of the net. A great strike, but if Lee Angle does his job like what a man in a wall is meant to do, then that goal doesn't go in the back of the net, because Angle ducks, waits for the ball to go over his head, and then makes it like he's jumping. Absolutely pathetic from Lee Angle, who, let's be honest, has always been a little bit of a fanny, but a great strike from Taylor Allen into the back of the net. And then the second goal that Walsall score, I mean, it's just a blatant handball from Albert Adoma, isn't it? He's almost caught the ball, but before running down the wing, I think McAdam tries to foul him. Eventually it comes to Jellis on the edge of the box, and to be fair, it's a decent strike into the back of the net. And then we look at what goes on post-match, where Matt Sadler refuses to shake the hand of Derek Adams. You had Albert Adoma doing keepy-uppies in the corner as well, and Derek Adams, quite rightfully so, is very angry in his post-match interview. Now, I don't think it was disrespectful for Albert Adoma to do them kick-ups. I don't think it was disrespectful for, I think it was Liam Gordon, it could have been Josh Gordon, apparently blowing kisses to the Morecambe fans. It's part and parcel of football. I don't really have any complaints with that, but there's been a lot of different things and allegations being thrown around about loads of different things and loads of different reasons for why Matt Sadler didn't shake the hand of Derek Adams, but there's got to be something very serious to do that, because I think it's very classless, and Derek Adams, quite rightfully so, comes out and he criticises Matt Sadler, who I think has got that a bit about him where he can be a little bit salty despite winning the game. And don't get me wrong, his Walsall side have done an unbelievable job so far this season. It's great for them to finally get back to back wins after they went on their little bit of a blip around January, early February sort of time. But I think there's also a way to go about beating one of the worst teams League Two has ever seen in Morecambe, because of how small their budget is. Think about what Morecambe have had to go through over the last couple of seasons. All you've got to do is shake the manager's hand, and like Derek Adams basically said, you won't last very long doing that, and you won't, because you can't make enemies in football, and maybe he doesn't want to be best friends with Derek Adams, but say 5 years down the line, where this game's completely forgotten about, Derek Adams and Matt Sadler are maybe managing two different clubs, and Matt Sadler's new club might fancy one of Derek Adams' players, but you're going to have to pay a premium on top of that, just as an example, because it's about having class in football, and I really don't like that from Matt Sadler. Yes, I don't know the full context behind it, but in my personal opinion, I think it's embarrassing not to shake another man's hand after a football match, really. Is it that deep? Do you really need to be a sore winner about things? Yes, Walsall done unbelievably to get in the position that they are, but there's a way to go about doing things. Commiserations to Morecambe. I still do believe they will stay up. I see them closing that gap on Tranmere. Yes, they've played a game more. Yes, the gap is still 2 points, but I am certainly believing, and it says a lot about me as a Bradford City fan to be siding with Derek Adams. It says a lot about the behaviour of the Walsall manager. Just my opinion. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of rattle Walsall fans by that, but Anthony Sarcevic absolutely clears Jamie Jellis, doesn't he? So argue in the comments if you want. And there we go then. There is all 12 of the Game Week 33 League 2 matches dived into in a little bit more detail. I guess let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below. As always, who's getting promoted, who's getting relegated, and who's going to settle for mid-table mediocrity. Let me know your goal and result of the month as well down in the comment section down below. George McEachran is definitely not goal of the month, goal of the game week. That's definitely what I meant. And obviously result of the game week as well. Probably give to Port Vale 2, Salford 1. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'll see you very soon for another one.